What movie death scene is burned into your memory? Sawzone 2077 said. That poor guy gets his heart ripped out by thuggies and sent into lava in Temple of Doom always got me as a kid. Still pretty memorable. Doctor Who Season 24 said. When the bad guy kills the shoe by dipping it into the goo in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That one is so fucking terrible, man. If you think about it, those toons don't even have the notion of what death is. When a toon is shot in the face, they just get real dirty or, worst case scenario, turned into a cartoon angel only to come back to normal by next week. Not that shoe, though. The shoe is gone forever. It's the first and only one of their kind to ever meet total oblivion and just die for good. That's gotta be a doozy. Crouching Domo said. Kurtwood Smith's voice when he finds Neil's body. Just thinking about it now is giving me chills. So much sorrow and desperate regret. His character spent the entire movie being a classic mid-century abusive and autocratic father, and then he just breaks into pieces when he realizes his son is now permanently beyond his reach. He'll never chastise him again, never guide him, never see him smile or hear him slam the door to the fridge or see him graduate or get married or have kids. And in that one moment, in his voice, you can hear him realizing that it wasn't worth it, that the price was too high and he'd take it all back if he could. Being the man he was in the time he papers over the cracks in his soul pretty quickly, and I'd be surprised if he and his wife speak more than 100 words to each other over the coming decade. He'll shrivel up inside, and be dead from that day forward, because he lacks the ability to internalize what his mistakes helped bring about. He won't become a kinder, gentler man, because he can't. But he will suffer, every day for the rest of his life, because he knows deep down that none of what he thought mattered was anywhere near as important as his son's life. Kurtwood Smith is an amazing and underrated actor, is what I'm saying. Mamak Cheo said. Something I read on Reddit in a similar thread, that I refuse to fact-check because it makes me feel better, is that every single actor on set played with that baby every time the camera cut because it was such a heavy scene. Apparently the baby was just super stoked to get all the attention and it helped the actors and crew deal with it. Edit. I took a risk and googled it and it's true. According to the twins who played the baby. We weren't on the set a lot but, when we were, apparently everyone was a bit more relaxed and all doing baby stuff with us. So it helped to take away a lot of the tension from filming such hard scenes. Royeg 42775 said. In Silence of the Lambs when Hannibal gets a hold of the guard in his cage cell and starts biting his face. 9-year-old me was not ready for that, and I was less ready to hear my mom start laughing hysterically at the scene. I guess she just found it absurd. Ladvarg said. Lament for Boromir. Aragorn sang, through Rohan over fen and field where the long grass grows the west wind comes walking, and about the walls it goes. What news from the west, O wandering wind, do you bring to me tonight? Have you seen Boromir the Tall by moon or by starlight? I saw him ride over 7 streams, over waters wide and grey. I saw him walk in empty lands until he passed away into the shadows of the north. I saw him then no more. The north wind may have heard the horn of the son of Denethor, O Boromir. From the high walls westward I looked afar, but you came not from the empty lands where no men are. Then Legolas sang, from the mouths of the sea the south wind flies. From the sandhills and the stones, the wailing of the gulls it bears, and at the gate it moans. What news from the south, O sighing wind, do you bring to me at eve? Where now is Boromir the fair? He tarries and I grieve. Ask not of me where he doth dwell, so many bones there lie, on the white shores and the dark shores under the stormy sky. Ladvarg said. So many have passed down Anduin to find the flowing sea. Ask of the north wind news of them the north wind sends to me, O Boromir. Beyond the gate the seaward road runs south, but you came not with the wailing gulls from the grey sea's mouth. Then Aragorn sang again, from the gate of the kings the north wind rides, and past the roaring falls, and clear and cold about the tower its loud horn calls. What news from the north, O mighty wind, do you bring to me today? What news of Boromir the bold? For he is long away, beneath Amon-Hen I heard his cry. There many foes he fought, his cloven shield, his broken sword, they to the water brought. His head so proud, his face so fair, his limbs they laid to rest, and Rhoras, golden Rhoras falls, bore him upon its breast. O Boromir. The tower of guard shall ever northward gaze, to Rhoras, golden Rhoras falls, until the end of days. Ross 1304 said, "Not a movie, but there was an episode of MASH I saw as a kid that traumatizes me to this day. The whole episode, which I haven't seen since I was about 9, so forgive any incorrect details, is about a group of army and civilians hiding from the enemy. One lady has a chicken, and they keep telling her to keep it quiet because if it gives away their position they'll all be dead. We find out she smothered the chicken to death to save everyone. But the horror twist is that the soldier telling the story had replaced the actual source of the noise, her human baby, with a chicken because it was so horrible. I have children now and the thought of making that choice makes me sick to my stomach." Homo sapien Honey said, "When Bubba was dying in Forrest Gump, him saying I wanna go home hit me deep. Even though I know he was acting, I wanted to reach through the screen and hug his fear and pain away. All those young boys dying in the jungle must have been so terrified." I am Colonel Flaghammer said, "Mrs. Landingham, I miss my boys. Charlie, I never knew you had kids. Mrs. Landingham, twins. Andrew and Simon. I tried not to, you know, I dressed them differently, but they still did everything together. They went off to medical school together, and then they finished their second year, and of course their lottery number came up at the same time. Charlie, for the draft? Mrs. Landingham, yeah. Charlie, well, I would have thought they could get the deferment to finish med school. Mrs. Landingham, they didn't want one. Their father and I begged them, but they wanted to go where people needed doctors. Their father and I begged them, but you can't tell kids anything. So they joined up as medics, and 4 months later they were pinned down during a fight in Da Nang and were killed by enemy fire. That was Christmas Eve, 1970. You know, they were so young, Charlie. They were your age. It's hard when that happens so far away, you know, because with the noises and the shooting, they had to be so scared. It's hard not to think that right then, they needed their mother. Anyway, I miss my boys." Scene, https://yahoo.be/cccffluzeqi. Perpleawly said, "IDK, what is about that scene? I have watched a lot of horror movies, war movies, sad dramas, but there is something about that scene that sticks out. Maybe the nice, serene music, romantic night at sea, people happily dancing. I just can't forget that wire and then bodies falling down. And if I recall correctly, Cube has similar scene with some cables slicing people and few other similar scenes in other movies, but nothing came close to this one." Consciously Incomplete said, "Dear fellas, I can't believe how fast things move on the outside. I saw an automobile once when I was a kid, but now they're everywhere. The world went and got itself in a big damn hurry. The parole board got me into this halfway house called the Brewer, and a job bagging groceries at the Foodway. It's hard work. I try to keep up, but my hands hurt most of the time. I don't think the store manager likes me very much. Sometimes after work I go to the park and feed the birds. I keep thinking Jake might just show up and say hello. But he never does. I hope wherever he is, he's doing okay and making new friends. I have trouble sleeping at night. I have bad dreams, like I'm falling. I wake up scared. Sometimes it takes me a while to remember where I am. Maybe I should get me a gun and rob the Foodway, so they'd send me home. I could shoot the manager while I was at it, sort of like a bonus. I guess I'm too old for that sort of nonsense anymore. I don't like it here. I'm tired of being afraid all the time. I've decided not to stay. I doubt they'll kick up any fuss. Not for an old crook like me." The Vaping Pug said, "The death of the personal assistant in that Jurassic World movie. A complete side character that did nothing wrong, barely in a few scenes, gets likely the most graphic and prolonged death in the entire franchise. They really made sure to show you how terrified she was and how brutally she died. It was literally like 90 seconds on screen watching her struggle in agony and terror before being swallowed. It was honestly kinda fucked up. Especially because there was a comedic moment immediately before and after the scene. It's like they want you to somehow enjoy watching this completely innocent side character die horribly." Edgar said, "Littlefoot's Mom in the Land Before Time. When I first saw it as a kid, it was the first time that I realized that my parents could die. That thought had never even really occurred to me at that point. Even now as an adult, that scene where he thinks he sees her but it's just his shadow and the narrator says, "Then Littlefoot knew for certain he was alone," is still burned in my memory. Theater 2651 said, "This one is out of left field, but in Return of the Jedi there is a scene during the forest fight when the Empire is just cleaning everyone's clock. There is a scene where two Ewoks get knocked off their feet to an explosion. One gets up and turns to the other one, but they won't get up. The Ewok makes a sad noise and I'm pretty sure I heard them say mama, mama, dot. I don't know why but that stuck with me." Bowser Buddy 123 said, "In Midsummer when the old folks jump off a cliff and then someone comes by with a sledgehammer to put them out of their misery. And they show everything. Then the scene in Midsummer when they discover the guy blood-eagled and you're still breathing. Then there is this scene in this movie Midsummer where a guy is paralyzed, sewn into the skin of a bear and then burned alive. Oh, lastly, there is this one scene in Midsummer where all the people who were previously killed in horrible ways were stuffed with straw as human scarecrows and burned with the guy inside a bear. Another death scene was this bear who was in a cage in Midsummer and you don't know why he is in the cage in the middle of this commune until the end, when he is hollowed out so he can be filled with paralyzed man who is then burnt alive with his already dead scarecrow friends. Edit. I forgot the first scene in this movie Midsummer where you see this middle-aged couple sleeping comfy in their bed, only to be taken to the garage where you see a bunch of tubes connected to a running car's exhaust. The tubes fill the house with carbon monoxide and you learn the parents have died in their sleep. Then you see that another tube is taped directly on one of their daughters' faces so she could commit murder-suicide. Second edit. I used to love horror movies. Then I saw this movie called Midsummer. Clakesa said, "The thing about the book that really gets me is just how angry Harry Potter is afterwards at himself. Like Dumbledore is so calm but Harry has all this rage and just starts trashing Dumbledore's office. It's also so heartbreaking because it was so avoidable. Harry went on this mission to save Sirius whom he believed to be in danger, but was actually being tricked, and Sirius dies coming to save Harry. And what's even worse, is that after Sirius dies Harry finds the gift Sirius gave him. In the book, I believe they cut this out in the movie, that he never opened because they had a fight, and turns out Sirius gifted him a magical mirror that lets them communicate. If he had only opened his gift he would have been able to confirm he was okay and the whole thing would have never happened." Landahoy said, "Not a movie but the bit in Dexter when at the end of the series he comes home, thinks he's killed the bad guy and all is well with the world. But he walks into the bathroom and his wife is dead and the baby is sitting there crying in the wife's blood. Honestly that hit me incredibly hard, seeing the baby there, alone, crying for its dead mother. My first child had not long been born when I seen it which no doubt contributed but that scene has absolutely stood out to me in a horrific way for all these years." Tem said, "I like that one for sure, but it basically comes out of nowhere and is done. The one that got me from Tarantino was the cop in Reservoir Dogs. He's just lived through one of the most famous torture scenes in cinema. He got Mr. Orange to come clean to him and they had their little bonding moment. Nice guy walks in and everything seems to be going his way and like they're going to take him and Orange to the hospital to save their lives and then. You say he tortured him? He was going to kill him? Like this. Better, or worse. Fucking nice guy sticking up for his best bud. Immediately reminds the audience, and everyone in the room, that they're the bad guys and no effing way they're letting a cop with info on the drop site or the player involved live." Soup or Juice 13 said, "The final game of Russian roulette in The Deer Hunter where Walken's character kills himself. I saw that movie at around 15 years old and that final scene is a culmination of pain and suffering that is frankly unimaginable. I broke down fucking sobbing after witnessing that. It is truly one of the most difficult to watch death scenes I've ever seen in cinema. The knife death scenes in Saving Private Ryan in 1917 come pretty close. Of course there's also more iconic scenes but for sheer heart-wrenching sadness mixed with realistic awe and shock value, I can't think of anything else that matches that with realism. I think the reason being that it's entirely plausible that that happened to someone as a result of the Vietnam War." Haunted But said, "Not a movie but Rick and Carl's reaction to Lori's death was pretty triggering for me as it was identical to how my dad reacted to me to my mom's death. My dad kinda looks like Rick and my mom kinda looked like Lori. People laugh at that scene but I found the uncontrollable funny weird sounds Andrew Lincoln made to be completely accurate. It's like you forget how to control yourself or what you should be doing, and your body just struggles to even remember normal patterns of behavior and you let loose. Not my favorite show, but that scene really caught me off guard, and I have a ton of respect for Andrew Lincoln as an actor after that. No, the Red said. Honestly, haven't seen a theater react to something so unanimously. We went to the first IMAX screening of it in our city. The entire theater was completely silent at the end. Barely even a peep as we all filed after the credits and the stinger with fury. I remember leaving the theater, and it was the reaction of the people in line that suddenly hit me. Everyone walking out looked so shell-shocked that the people in line for the next showing realized they were walking into something rough. Even seeing it again later that week, and again a week after that, it didn't change. Silence. Every time. GrouchaGamer77 said. There is a scene in Saving Private Ryan where two guys are fighting upstairs and the German slowly slides a knife into the other guy's chest as he's trying to stop him. Another soldier is too scared to help and just hides in the stairwell and lets it happen. Once the German finishes killing him, he just walks past the coward who is hugging his rifle and cowering. I haven't seen the movie in years, so my details might be slightly off, but watching it as a 10-12 years old, it was one of the only times a movie has made me cry. Why didn't you help your friend? Lambda said. Two that I can think of. In Serenity, you know the one. If you don't, then I highly recommend you watch Firefly. In Serenity, it's fantastic, even if its run was cut short by corporate politics. The host guy in Joker. Sudden, immediate change in the scene, you can feel that the body's there but he isn't. Really, whenever a movie or show does a good job of conveying that feeling, the sort of suddenly this is a human-shaped inanimate object hit to the gut, it sticks with me. I have no idea what goes into it, I just know when they did it right. Ravenous said. I had to Google it because I was confused too. It's a nickname given to the main antagonist's henchman in the Buffy movie. His arm was torn off, and so was nicknamed Lefty, but his actual name is Amelin. He was played by Paul Rubens, Pee Wee Herman, and the death scene is fairly memorable for the comedy of it. It's one of the few things I remember from the movie at all, TBH. The link above didn't work for me, so here's the scene, https://yahoo.be/ihvh_s9ngiu. Trickling Miscreant said. The beach scene in Under the Skin. Easily. Basically, Scarlett Johansson plays an alien in a human suit, who lures men to come back with her. At which point they are turned into meat. That already sounds pretty horrific, and there is one death sequence linked to this that is truly horrific. That's not the death scene that sticks with me though. The beach scene is undoubtedly one of the most haunting on-screen deaths I've ever seen. Scarlett Johansson is on the prowl approaching a swimmer as her next victim. They observe a family at the beach, this real angular rocky beach off the coast of Scotland. The family has a dog that goes out swimming into the water, but the waves overpower it. The mother goes in, a desperate attempt to save the pet, but she too gets beaten by the waves. Then the father goes in to save the mother. The swimmer goes in and drags the father back to the beach, but the father just runs back in to save his wife. Whilst the swimmer is left exhausted on the beach. You basically watch it from Scarlett Johansson's perspective from afar. Cutting back and forth between the heads of the characters being pulled and pushed by these massive violent waves. Eventually they all disappear from view. The sea rolls on regardless. The scene ends with night drawing in and their infant child wailing on the beach alone. It's just a shockingly matter-of-fact scene. Not violent, just tragic. Each lured out to their death. Under the Skin. It's a really great movie. Useful Woodpecker 6502 said. Optimus Prime, Transformers the movie 1985. Saw it for the first time on TV in like 87 or 88 and I bawled my eyes out. Literally my childhood hero just dead and turning gray. And honestly that movie was pretty damn traumatic for a kid. In the beginning the Decepticons board the Autobot shuttle and literally slaughter the entire Autobot crew. Ratchet getting rocked back and forth by laser bolts. Fire coming out of Prowl's eyes and mouth when he gets shot. Brawn getting his shoulder blasted off and then fucking Ironhide getting blasted point blank in the head by Megatron. That shit would never fly today in kids' movies. Edit. Oh, and totally forgot when Archie is literally dragging Autobot corpses into the catapult room. Gears, Wheeljack, etc. just corpses she decided to drag in. Coconut Greek Yogurt said. I don't remember what movie it was. I don't think I ever knew to begin with, but my dad was watching it when I walked into the living room and sat down. A guy was holding something out to his side for another guy to shoot, and his arm was shot off just below the shoulder. He was screaming bloody murder before the guy with the gun shot him again and killed him. But not just killed him, but more turned what was left of him into ground beef. I seem to remember it being an Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, but I could be wrong about that. Charlie Wisco said. In The Pianist, there is a scene where Adrien Brody's character and family are having a family dinner in their 5th floor apartment. They look across the street to another apartment at the same 5th floor level as theirs, where another family is also having dinner. They watch as some Gestapo men raid the neighboring apartment, roughing up everyone and breaking dishes, etc. The Nazis end up wheeling an old man out to the balcony, the grandfather presumably, and simply pitch him out of his chair, off the balcony, and he drops 5 stories to his death, as everyone gasps in horror. The casual barbarity of this action by the Nazi characters is so unsettling, even more so when you realize scenes like this played out thousands of times in real life. Shigui said. Technically a TV, but I am tearing up thinking about Spartacus's death in the Spartacus TV show. There is no greater victory than to fall from this world a free man. Strictly movie speaking, though, one of the nuns dies in Madeleine. You don't see her death, just her empty bed with the linens rolled up. Madeleine is told she passed away. I saw that movie when I was maybe 7 years old on the only movie outing my father ever took me on, only because my brother wanted to watch something else and apparently a French child was the lesser evil to my father. We were going to the movies so my parents could distract us from the fact that our dogs had just been put down, which was the first time I'd experienced death. Suddenly having this reminder that death comes for us all and it had come for my lifetime companion and protector days earlier was more than I could handle. So yeah. Dead nun because it made me think of my dead dog. Intensely Human said. I'm already an anxious dude, so I don't really like horror flicks in the first place. Well, the first time I ever did cocaine was at this African guy's house. And that's not just my way of saying he was black. This dude was African, like fresh off the boat. Great guy, everybody loved him, but kinda weird. He talked in a sort of word salad. You had to detach your mind a little to make sense of it. It's really hard to explain, but literally no syntax or grammar, just a deluge of words. And he'd sit there and poke you in the shoulder while he talked, to make sure you were following. It didn't help. Sitting on the other side of the table was no help because he was super tall and his arms were long as fuck and he'd poke your damn shoulder right across the table. It was hopeless listening to this guy. And like I say, I'm an anxious dude. Did you know what I'm saying, man? Did you know what I'm saying? Yeah man, I think. Because she say with boys and children she born a dawn and in a week and yeah listening man. Yeah I'm listening. Intensely Human said. Somebody offered me a bump of coke and I took it, thinking it might help me follow what he was saying. Turns out a bump was plenty for me and that's just how he was. For some background info. A bunch of people were over at his house, and they had Hostel 2 or 4 or something on, about some kids who get tricked into staying at this place that's gathering victims for some millionaire's murder safari club or something. This woman has a girl blindfolded, arms bound, and hung upside down from the ceiling. Then the woman lies under her naked, on her back, and slowly carves the girl open with a sword, all the while getting showered with the girl's blood. That one's always stuck with me. Epithets said. Joaquin Phoenix in Return to Paradise, 1994. I watched this at a way too young age and I recently searched around for the movie and rewatched it and man, it's just as powerful now as it was back then. Long movie short. He was a tourist in Malaysia and got in trouble with having weed and the punishment was death, and the only way he wasn't going to hang was if his buddies that were on vacation with him come back to Malaysia and serve 3 years in Malaysia's third world prison. Phoenix's performance was incredible. To the point it scarred me for life lol. Big Boy Billy said. All those moments will be lost, in time, like Tears and Rain, Roy Batty, Blade Runner. Really made me think about what it means when someone dies. Their memories and consciousness lost, as if they never happened. How fragile our little worlds of experience is, yet how valuable it is to us. The scene was perfect, summarizing the film's message within a few minutes. Roy, being designed as a soldier, eventually rebelling against his purpose, spares the person whom killed everyone he loves as a final act of said defiance. And also because he knows what value consciousness has, and that killing more won't bring back that which he loves. He dies with a pure soul, sparing his enemy, hence the dove. Also planting a seed for Deckard to do something for the replicant cause. Plus the score was just amazing. Shady Swashbuckler said, Johnny Depp's character in Nightmare on Elm Street https://www.youtube.com/watchquestionmark vic0oqx_d_amo_VClips_nsfw, Goa. The Buffalo in Apocalypse Now. They actually hacked a buffalo to death on screen, not linking it. Look it up on your own if you want. The girl being cooked alive and her sleeping bag Friday the 13th reboot? Even though I love camping and backpacking, I always feel like I'm suffocating in a sleeping bag, and the scene did not help that https://youtube.be/i_n1xggvdc4?TechWills164NSFW, language. American History X, curb stomp https://www.youtube.com/watchquestionmark_fifib_x_s4ampersand ab_channel_vxxlnsfw, language, nudity, nsfl, teeth scrape. Not movie but TV Merum and Commuji https://www.youtube.com/watchquestionmark_vecals b8x4fntx138ampersand ab_channel_quacentoria90 of Mice and Men, Lenny https://www.youtube.com/watchquestionmark vicals5ddep2pi tw ampersand ab_channel_qualsmoviclips.